All right, this is the copyright disclaimer. The copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
The lynching of Michael Donald. Michael Donald was born in Mobile, Alabama on July 24, 1961, and was the youngest of 6 children. In 1981, Josephus Anderson, an African-American charged with the murder of a white policeman in Birmingham, Alabama, during an armed robbery, was tried in Mobile, where the case had been moved in a change of venue. The trial ended with a deadlock of a mixed white-black jury. At a meeting held in Mobile while the jury was still debating, members of the Unit 900 of the United Klans of America complained that Anderson was not still convicted because the jury had African-American members. Benny Jack Hayes, the second highest ranking official in the UKA, reportedly said, "If a black man can get away with killing a white man, we ought to be able to get away with killing a black man." On Friday 20th, 1981, a mistrial was declared on all 4 counts.
All right, Shalom. We are the Hebrew Israelites from the Indianapolis branch of the Great Millstone. We're here to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well in teaching us this 100% truth. Salutations to them and our fellow Akim who labor in this truth week in and week out on the highways and byways. Also, salutations to the hopeful elect of the scattered 12 tribes of Israel, scattered to the 4 corners of the earth, that be like it to the speckled bird, also known as your Israelite foreigners and your so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. To you, we say Shalom.
Shalom.
All right, this is another installment of our camp series called For Thy Violence Against Thy Brother Jacob. Today, we'll be dealing with an article from EJI, which means Equality Justice Initiative. A link to this article will be put into the description box of the video. And today's lesson will be on the hanging of Michael Donald. And as you can see on the screen, it's titled, On this day, March 21st, 1981, Michael Donald hanged by members of the Klan in Mobile, Alabama. All right, but before we get into the article, we'll get to open the scripture.
Oh,
I got it.
Go ahead.
This is Obadiah chapter. I'm sorry, Obadiah 1 and 8 and 10.
Yeah.
It says, "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever."
This whole the chapter is dedicated to the demise of Esau Edom, the so-called white man who is the wicked, according to Malachi 1 and 4. All right, and it says it's talking about for his violence against who? Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel. You know, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and those scattered abroad to the 4 corners of the earth. All right, who are Israelites by blood. Okay, not by that dumb conversion Judaism shit. This is about blood. All right, descendants of Jacob. All right, and it says the shame shall cover them. And what's their shame right now? All of their history, you know, is being revealed 365, 24/7, around the clock. The stuff that they've done to the children of Israel and the rest of the world, for that matter. Okay, all right, wherever we are, you know, they just bring havoc everywhere. You know, I was just reading today. The leaders of France saying that they've just approved something to remove all of the leaders of Africa that they don't like. Ain't that some shit? You know, you way over here, they way over there, and you mad because they won't do what you tell them to do. You're trying to rape the resources from that area, rape the resources from that area. Okay, that's the shame that's coming upon you. You don't like it. That's why you're trying to erase history. You know, removing stuff from the museums, removing monuments, so on and so forth. Okay, it says you you're gonna be, you're gonna be cut off forever. So hey, we're on the cusp of that right now. You're already angry because your history is coming out. All right, and you're gonna have to pay for it. You're gonna be cut off forever. You will no longer exist. Yes, Esau, Edom will be exterminated. After they serve their captivity for 1,000 years. You're gonna rule over them in righteousness. Okay, and when you don't want to serve, hey, like the scriptures say, you got to be taken out according to Isaiah 60:12. Utterly wasted. All right.
It's the article.
Okay, all right. We'll go ahead and get into the article. Like I said, it's on the screen. We'll put a link to this article in the description box of the video. It says, on March 21st, 1981, a 19-year-old black man named Michael Donald was beaten, strangled, and slashed at the throat and hanged in Mobile, Alabama by two members of the United Klans of America.
If I may jump in there real quick, I'm bringing out Amos 1:11, but you'll see this precept. It does come out a lot. All right, when we're going through this for thy violence against thy brother Jacob's seed, man. All right, so Amos 1:11 it says, "Thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever." All right, so in the first couple sentences of this article, you can see a prime example of him casting off all pity, man. All right, because a lot of times, man, what they did to Jacob was overkill, man. All right, it said he was beaten, strangled, slashed at the throat, and then they hung him, man. All right, that's a prime example of not showing no pity at all, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they had already beat him probably half to death, I'm assuming. All right, strangled him and slashed his throat, and then on top of that, they hung him, man. All right, that's why Esau, Edom, all right, the so-called white man cannot go get away, all right, with the things that he's done, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the Lord say he's not gonna quit the wicked, man. Meaning he's not gonna free him of his charges, man. All right. Esau Edom doesn't have any pity towards the nation of Israel. That's why they can do the things that they do, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, no heart at all, man. All right, and you can see his anger tear perpetually to this day, man.
Yep.
All right, that everlasting hatred that he has.
Mm-hmm. That goes into that word pity. He cast off all pity. He had no mercy for him, man. None whatsoever.
Well, when you look at other for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, when you look at some of the other documented unalivings, lynchings, they also would use the body for target practice,
Mm-hmm.
and then they would also mutilate. They would dismember the bodies as well.
Mm-hmm.
And take parts of these men's body, and they pretty much have them in glass jars.
Yep.
Souvenirs, send them off, postcards.
Mm-hmm.
Glorifying, their heinous acts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and like the brother said, they cast off no pity, but they never thought that this would actually come upon them.
Yep. Yep. Like it says, Manifest Destiny definitely has a part too. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We gonna leading that. Go ahead.
Yep. No, you go ahead. There was a scripture I wanted to get.
Okay.
You go ahead.
All right. Back to the article. It says, initially, local police wrongly attributed Mr. Donald's death to drug violence. See, that's some more BS. All right. It says, but his family insisted he had not been involved in drug activity and demanded a more thorough investigation. Tests also showed no trace of drugs in Mr. Donald's body. And that's one of those, that's also, it's a little subtle right here, but when you know Esau's pattern, he will quickly blame Jake's death on himself. Article we did last week. They wanted to blame Jake, but found out it was the culprits who did it, man. And You know, that's just the way this devil is. You know, you killed yourself. Like even now in some of the social media, I had I was into the book Without Sanctuary for years before coming into the truth. Facebook went back and covered or removed all of them with the message that we do not condone violence that involves suicide. How were those pictures suicide when he's hung and the people standing there in the picture with him? That's what they said it was.
Yeah.
So that there's a history of them doing the killing and then saying that we did it to ourselves.
Well, most recently, what was the college? It was like they found two.
Delaware, right
yeah.
after the Charlie Kirk mass destruction, both were in Mississippi.
Yeah, and they said that was one of the claims.
Yeah.
Like one of them, at least one of them, like in the middle of a college, did that to himself.
Yeah.
And the parents and their family were saying that he had no signs of those things.
Well, he had broken arms.
Yeah.
How you gonna hang himself with broken arms?
Dave Chappelle, he had a series, a comedy series. I want to say "Killing Me Softly," or I forget the name of the series, but he made a statement about how and the '80s, around the '80s, it's like the pickup of the crack epidemic.
Yep.
So it was easy at this time to now blame Jake, and put drugs and different crimes on so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, especially the head tribe Judah,
Yeah,
so-called African American. So he made this statement of how, when they would see a man, like if they came in and unalived the man, or if he ended up like dead, they was like just sprinkle some crack on him. So it was a comedy, the satire, but it was like some truth in that. They was quickly blaming drugs, and everyone at that point would just continue on.
Yep.
It's an open and shut case, is what they would say. Oh, he looks
exactly.
like he has drugs here, but then we find that in recent years and even back then that a lot of drugs have been planted on men in their cars, on their persons when they were getting checked. They were blamed, for having, drugs, and then they were seized and taken to jail.
God, they show you this in this old blaxploitation film called Free the Hard Way. They had Jim Kelly, Fred Williamson, and Jim Brown. And ironically, the movie was based in Detroit, but it was dealing with the same situation that was going on in Flint, Michigan not too long ago, which on a clean day is a 30-minute drive straight down I-75 in Michigan, where in Flint, they were poisoning the water. Okay, this movie was based on the same thing in 1974. Okay, same thing, and one of the scenes was where the cop, they knew that these three were trying to, thwart that whole situation. One of the policemen, pulled him over, had him get out of his car, searched him, and then he said, get your stuff out of the car. He said, my license stuff's in my car. So he reached in to get it. Cop draws the gun. What's that in there? He tried to set me up, so he started doing karate and shit.
Well, here's the thing.
Cops.
Well, here's the thing too. Like you had there was a point, if you go back like last 5 years, 6 years, you had like a increase of it being visually out in the open. When you had I'm not gonna remember everybody's name, but Trayvon Martin.
Yep.
How he was walking. These are like this story is what reminds me of things like that. Trayvon Martin. You had the one guy who was he was like a janitor, or he worked at the school, but he actually told the police that he had the gun. He was like in North Carolina, I believe it was, and he told them that he had it in the car, and his woman was like the driver, and he ended up getting
Philando Castile,
Philando,
Minnesota, yeah.
You had the one female who later went to jail, and she was
Sandra Bland.
Like you started seeing this was like back to back to back, and then of course they stayed on George Floyd.
Yep.
you know. But then prior to him, you had the one big guy in New Jersey,
Eric Garner.
Eric Garner.
Mhm.
See, like we're like these were, and then there's a list. The one young man,
Oh.
the young man who had a toy gun. It had the orange at the
Tamir
tip.
Rice.
See how you know. So these things has been like pushed in it, like it was put out in the media for our people as a terror.
Yep.
You know, to be scared, and then what happens is you start to see folks like trying to riot, or not riot, but like they go out and they try to fight for rights and things like that. And then at the same time, you're trying to teach their children, well, when they show up, put your hands on the steering wheel, put your hands here, make sure you talk polite and you do these certain things. But yet, you know, you do those things because it tells the scripture say at all possible live peaceably with all men. But many of our people lack the understanding that these people completely hate you. So
Yeah.
regardless of what you do at your job, how well you present yourself, whether it be to their standards or however, they're gonna hate you.
Yeah.
You know, it's only if you have Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai that you can skate by or get through many of these circumstances.
I was gonna say in
You had
between
something?
in between Philando Castile and Eric Garner, don't forget Alton Sterling too. He was outside of the store selling CDs,
Yeah.
and the cops rolled up on him, and you could see one cop holding one arm down, the other cop got a knee on his other arm. Talking about he's got a gun, and stuck that gun right at his heart and shot him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It
Right
was
on
in
the spot.
Baltimore.
I forget
Wait,
exactly.
okay, because there's a guy now.
Freddie Gray was Baltimore.
There's Baltimore where he ended up in the paddy wagon.
Yep, slammed around, broke his
Slammed
neck and stuff.
around, and then
Mm-hmm.
So there's like stories upon stories of
Yeah.
how our people have been in the hands of these devils,
Mm-hmm.
and in the process, we come out bad, and yet on occasion they do a wrongful lawsuit.
Yep.
Because it's easy to throw money at something
Yep.
and make it go away.
Yep.
But the Lord is going to still pay, you know, have vengeance.
Mhm.
You know, He's going to come back. Let me read this real quick.
Come.
James chapter 2 verse 13 says, "For he shall have judgment without mercy that have showed no mercy, and mercy rejoice against judgment."
Mm.
So because you have showed no mercy unto the children of Israel, there's another scripture that's coming to mind. I'll pull it, Lord willing, pull it later. You know, when the Lord returns, He's not going to have mercy upon you.
Nope.
This is the book of Obadiah, verse 15. It says, "For the day of the Lord is upon all the heathen." So that's not just the so-called white man. He's just the head. He's just the leader, the head, the king of Babylon, you know, of the world, you know, starting with the top elite banking families. But all the heathen are going to receive judgment, you know. And it says, "As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head." So all the things in which you've done in righteousness, the Lord is going to repay, and He's going to allow for His people to get payback as well. So that day of reckoning is actually coming.
Con.
Yeah.
I got something to back you up on that James 2 and 13.
Mm-hmm.
This is book of Psalms 109, beginning of verse 12. It says, "Let there be none to extend mercy unto him, neither let there be any favor to his fatherless children." Okay? So that just goes to show, you know, the Lord does not only deal with the individual, He deals with the nation or the generations. All right? It goes on to say, verse 13, "Let his posterity be cut off." And that's like reiterating that, because the word posterity means from the progenitor of a nation to the furthest descendant of that same nation. It's talking about Esau, Edom. And then the generation following, let their name be blotted out. So, like I said, they're going to pay. They're going to be no more, man, when it's all said and done. All right? Yes, I'm
I mean, just a real quick one. It's Exodus 23 and 1. It says, "Thou shalt not raise a false report. Put not thy hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness." But you know, the main point being, "Thou shalt not raise a false report." And they a lot of these stories, you'll see that they did that a lot, man. all right, to try to cover up the wickedness that they done, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, like in this story, they try to make it seem like the guy was it was all done by drugs, but we know that wasn't the case, man. How does someone on drugs, all right, hey, beat themselves, slash their own throat, and hang themselves, man? That don't even make sense, man. But that's the things that Esau was able to get away with because he's in power, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So hey man, Esau, hey, they have a heavy tab to pay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we'll get more on the article.
Yep. Okay, back to the article. It says, authorities later charged Klansmen Henry Hayes and James Knowles with Mr. Donald's murder and charged Benjamin Cox Jr. as an accomplice. Man, that sounds just like the dudes in Georgia. What was the guy's name? He hunted him down and shot him down? I forget his name. It says, evidence revealed that local Klan leaders had been monitoring the trial of Josephus Anderson, a black man charged with killing a white police officer in Birmingham, Alabama. When that trial ended in mistrial on March 21st, because the jury was unable to reach a verdict, members of the Klan in Mobile sought to make a violent response. If a black man can get away with killing a white man, said Benny Hayes, a high-ranking Klansman and father of Henry Hayes, we ought to be able to get away with killing a black man. Michael McDonald was killed that night. Okay. It says all three white men charged with Michael McDonald's death were convicted. Mr. Knowles and Mr. Cox received life sentences and were later paroled, while Mr. Hayes was sentenced to death and executed by the state of Alabama in 1997. In 1984, Michael Donald's mother, Beulah Donald, sued the United Klans of America. She ultimately won a $7 million wrongful death suit, and though very little money was collected, the ruling did bankrupt the white supremacist organization. All right, that's the end of the article.
All right. Precept.
I was gonna say here, what they didn't include here, I watched some supplemental videos. When also they didn't get money, property was seized. You know, in that case. Now I don't know if she still has it or not, but probably not. You know how they are. It was seized, so something was collected.
Is that last part?
Yeah, that was the last
Okay.
part.
Okay. This is precept. I was looking for one, but came across this one. It's Proverbs 28:15. It says, "As a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is a wicked ruler over the poor people." And of course, the poor of the people are the Israelites, and we're currently under a wicked rulership. And I just pulled that up as far as in the chat, as far as the meaning, and it just gives imagery. It says the lion, charging bear. Just says in the ancient world, these animals symbolize fear, violence, and destruction. And so this is what a wicked ruler, Esau, Edom, so-called white man, has been to our people, a complete terror unto our people. And then they project, those very things not only upon our people, as far as calling them criminals, calling our people sexual deviants, all those things in which they push. Then you have, then they talk about the other nations of how they're. You heard Trump recently, not to go too far, how he spoke about the leaders of Iran.
Yeah.
Then you would see that these are the very same things in which they actually are doing when you go back into, their own homeland.
Yeah.
How they're not able to, the Epstein files and things of that nature. But it says a wicked ruler, a corrupt and unjust leader, someone who abuses power, acts selfishly, and rules without moral restraint. So if you look, moral restraint, this is completely this people in today's time, the Lord speaking of.
Yep.
It says helpless, okay? This is the poor people, those with little power or protection in society. They are the ones who suffer most when leadership is unjust. So, if we're looking at today's time, who's suffering the most? As far as all the things that actually happen in the earth, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, The 12 tribes of Israel, they're the ones that's suffering
Yep.
the most, and they're the ones that are in need when it comes down for salvation.
Mm-hmm.
This is why the Lord, it tells us in Luke 1, that we may serve Him without fear. That He's going to save us. Roughly paraphrasing. All right. You had something?
Yeah, this is Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 13.
Okay, we're going to end it.
Okay. Chapter 13 and verse 3. It says, the rich man hath done wrong, and yet he threateneth withal. The poor is wrong, and he must entreat also. So what that's saying is, when the rich man could do stuff, he can get away with it, okay, with impunity, and make you look bad for it. Later on in this book, I think it's chapter 23 and 15, says, he that is accustomed to opprobrious words can never be reformed, okay? And opprobrious means to bring shame and disgrace, okay? Which, goes into the accuser of our brethren, which is Esau Edom. Okay, he will never be reformed, all right? It's like he cannot he cannot learn righteousness. That's what this devil is, okay? And then it says the poor is wrong, and he must entreat also. So even when you tell the truth on these people, you get penalized for it. Okay, you don't want to have to apologize, even if it's the truth. Okay, that's what that means.
Let me jump in real quick.
Go ahead.
This is Proverbs, and you can speak on it. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 23. It says, "The poor uses entreaties, but the rich answer roughly."
Yeah. That's there. The poor using entreat. Oh well, I'm sorry. That's not what I really meant. You have to apologize to these people. And I tell you, us out here doing this work, no, you're not going to tell us something is red and we can see that it's blue. We're going to tell you just like it is. Don't give a fuck how you feel about it. This is the truth about you. And everybody's starting to see it now for them own selves, even though they still to see that truth about you, but have a problem seeing the truth that we are the true people of the Bible, the true Israelites. Okay? Which is going to cause a problem for you, because in that same book of Ecclesiastes, it says what it says: when a rich man speaks, everybody holds him up.
Holds it
Extol it to the clouds.
Yeah, extol it to the clouds. Yeah, but when a poor man speaks, they look down on him. And that's okay, because what's that? Wisdom of Solomon 5 is going to tell you they're going to be pretty much amazed by the strangeness of our salvation. They're like, shit, that was them we was talking about. Yeah, you're gonna catch it. But yeah, that proverb. Read that again.
Yeah,
Proverbs
it says
18.
Proverbs chapter 18, verse 23 says, "The poor useth entreaties, but the rich answereth roughly."
And that's the thing. They could be brash about their response. You hear that term? They double down on this and even though they're wrong. They double down on it. That's what that means, because they have the power. They control the media. Can pretty much change the narrative of any story.
One example is where they were speaking of the Epstein files, and I want to say it's Christy, but I forget the lady.
The one that just got fired.
Could have been
Christy Nome.
Could have been, but
Looked
then
like,
I'm also thinking of the blind. I always mix
Pam Bondi.
Yeah, it was somebody who was they were questioning her.
Christy Nome looks like the character from Saw, with the cheeks.
Yeah. So they were questioning her this, and she pretty much has said, this is answering roughly. They're asking her about these Epstein files, and she says, she's like, everybody was worried about the Epstein, roughly paraphrasing, you worry about the Epstein files. She said, but stocks have gone up.
All the Dows, 50,000 points. That's Pam Bondi. She said that.
Yeah, Pam Bondi. Okay,
blonde airhead.
Yeah, so it's like, get over it.
Yeah.
When they talked about us, lift up, your boots, pull yourself up by the bootstraps,
And they just stole the straps.
Exactly. So these are the things. They talk about how the enemy, he puffed up.
Yeah.
And he's also doing it toward, his own brethren,
Yeah.
his own brothers.
Yeah.
The other nations, You know, he actually started that off. When I say he, Trump, when he stood before these people in NATO and spoke about how, and he tells you how, you know, men of these other leaders, how of a bad job they're doing, you know, and how they're not good leaders. And he speaks that strongly, you know, about certain ones when certain names come up, you know.
That puffeth up, I got a precept to back you up on that. This is Psalms 10, and put it in context. I'll start at verse 4. It says, the wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is not in all his thoughts. That's because he thinks he is the Most High. You know, the scriptures tell us that. You know, he set his nest above the stars, as if he is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and none else. And it goes on, verse 5 says, his ways are always grievous. That goes back to that wrongly, you know, what was at the end of that? Proverbs 28, 23?
23, it says, 23, it says, Slovakia, it was 1823.
Yeah, 1823.
Yeah. 1823, it says, the poor uses entreaties, but the rich answereth roughly.
Yeah, see, the rich answered, and that's just what she did. You know, when she was asking about, don't be focusing on this. You know, the Dow's up. It's up by about 50,000 points. You know, it says his ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. That's because he thinks he's the Most High. All right, and he's not. He says, as for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. You know, I'm in power. What are you going to do about it? I can do what I want to do. It's like Trump said about using the military bases of Spain and who else? He's like, they're ours. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, he said he's going to use it anyway. If he wants to, he's gonna land in there if he needs it
and use it. But that's that example of him puffing at his enemies because the power's in his hands. All right.
Well, so with that, we hope that this lesson was edifying, uplifting, exhorting of some sort to the like body of true believers. Before we end, we'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. Until next time, all those listening learn to you. We say Shalom.
Shalom.